basketball fan and an LSU football fan. So then he just started cheering for Kentucky football too. So people would stop calling him bandwagon fan.
Yeah, and that's cool. LSU fan for LSU is good.
Dude, he's bandwagon. All right, because then even if the football team sucks, then he can still say, "How many national championships y'all got in basketball?"
I've never
I
said
forgot
that.
Wes was on the phone.
Petty.
Oh, cute.
You know what?
Ryan, your mascot's a horned toad. Shut the hell up.
Yeah.
At least we ain't a wild cat.
You have me cat.
That means
like,
we are pussies. Nah,
You
we're
have the air turned off
frogs.
already?
Yep.
Fucking sweating out of nowhere.
If you feeling froggy, then leap, son.
TCU definitely has the worst mascot out
No,
of any of our teams.
The horny toads.
Yeah, y'all some horny toads.
dude, it's the best mascot in the land.
No.
I think.
Nothing about it is good.
Okay, but I can think of some worse mascots, like
Like-
the orange.
That's better than being a damn toad.
No, it's
Okay, Loki, y'all ever seen a real horned frog?
not. The jackrabbits.
In the desert like this.
Like, have you ever seen a real one?
Well, technically, it's horned lizards.
It's technically a horned lizard. They're actually
So,
freaky looking. Like, they got spikes all over them, and
They
they bleed.
so your mascot ain't even real.
They bleed out of
It's
their
fictional.
eyes.
No, but the reason they're named that is because, like, supposedly the practice field got took over by these horned lizards one day.
But why aren't they called the TCU
I don't know.
Lizards?
Beats me off.
Your
Ew.
your mascot is fictional.
Look, it ain't as fictional as the Sun Devils. I mean, what is that even?
You better watch out with that devil crap.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
Catholic.
I'm gonna say, I typed in why, and the questions are: why is the sky blue? Why don't we? And why were cornflakes invented?
That's what. Click that. I want to know.
Why were cornflakes invented? Why is that so searched?
Because cornflakes are like...
Okay, it's got the Kellogg's dude. It says he invented cornflakes in 1878
Oh,
in the
no.
hope that plain food would stop people from masturbating.
Oh, hey!
Mr. Kellogg, the man who created cornflakes, produced the cereal in the late 19th century as a healthy, ready-to-eat,
Wow.
anti-masturbatory morning meal.
Are cornflakes
Stop
even
talking
healthy?
about, baby.
No wonder it's
Hey,
researched
no,
so
hey,
much.
look, it's the person said, "I've never cracked one off over a bowl of cereal." Whoever posted that, yikes! That's what the people needed to hear.
I was like, what the fuck? Why is that such a searched thing? But apparently it was invented to stop people from masturbating. Cornflakes were.
Hey,
Now I don't even know what I was looking up.
hey, when
Like
you see a
cornflakes.
baddie at the beach, just crack open a thing of cornflakes. It'll stop any impure thoughts you got.
Inshallah, brother.
Yikes!
Wes, you need some cornflakes?
Hey. No.
Riff Ram Boz, he needed them freshman year. Riff Ram Boz,
You also got the dumbest war chant I've ever
no,
Yeah, it's pretty
it ain't as
stupid.
bad as Hottie Toddy Gosh Almighty.
That's so much better than y'all.
No, yikes.
Hotty toddy, baby. I can say hotty toddy all day rather than
Oh my God.
Bazoo.
Legend
Riff Raff's
says
a
that the
fucking
name was
rapper.
selected for the yearbook after a group of horny toads showed up at during the football team's first practice.
Told you.
Hell yeah.
That's the dumbest name to...
Hey, I ain't gonna lie,
It is
being a
stupid.
fan of them in high school was trash because literally everyone just
Probably
said,
still trash.
"You horny today?" I'd be like, "Shut the heck up."
And you said yes.
Yeah,
Always.
obviously.
Wait,
All right.
Yeah, high school.
Y'all ready to start talking about football?
Okay, let's go.
Rather than talking about your gay-ass mascot.
Shut. I'm done with this. Woohoo! Welcome back. If y'all a little chilly, it's because we had that cold open.
And
But
Ryan just cracked a cold one
I
too.
cracked a cold one of these natural light seltzers because we like to keep it natural on this podcast. Shout out to
Busting with the boys.
Natural
putting on
light.
it.
Aloha Beaches.
Oh.
Anyways, it's your boy, The Nizzle, on Twitter. So give me a follow. along with everybody else who doesn't matter as much as me.
Savannah C _13, I think.
I don't know my Twitter handle.
Batwood.
No,
3.
that's his Fortnite name.
Yeah.
Or his online name. What did we looked
If you want
it
an
up
easy
last,
dub on-
or like last time you were on, we looked it up.
It's Tyler Atwood 03 or something. If you want an easy dub on 2K, add Batwood 3 though, or Tiger Woods, you'll beat him. Over the phone with the poor quality, we've got Wes Manley.
What's up?
I have a hair on my head.
And then over, if you hear him complain,
Oh,
it's
right.
Robbie.
I keep
Yeah.
finding my hair everywhere.
We out here.
But anyways, I mean, we
Yeah,
already
sure.
talked about some stupid shit, so Savannah, what games we got?
Alright, up first is the crap game, of course. We have number 3, Georgia, who's a 24.5 point favorite, playing at Neyland Stadium.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about this for quite a bit.
Are you losing hair?
I don't know who's going to win this game because, Georgia, number 3. I think I'm going to be the smart one of this group, and I'm going to pick the University of Tennessee to win this game. Jared Garantano is going to prove why he is
Oh,
above average,
You're losing hair. You going
and
Every day.
it's going to happen.
Guys, I gotta make an important
Talent.
announcement.
Are you?
Mates, Doves.
I gotta make an important announcement. In the middle of the podcast, I gotta take a piss.
Oh my god.
Ron, you're not being serious.
After Atwood's potty break, I would like to answer Robbie's question by saying, yes, I am being serious.
No, you're not.
The Vols are going to win. And if y'all don't believe me, well, you know what? How about you check the recruiting rankings from the past few years and how dominant the Vols were. Alright?
I still think Georgia was ahead.
because that has served us so well in these last
It
few
matters.
games.
Talent over hard work. How many times did I have to say that, guys? Hard work only matters if you've got a lot of talent. So that's my Vols by
I feel like
2.
hard work can turn into
By
talent.
2?
Mm-hmm.
Was it gonna be a safety?
A safety or
Now, in a ballsy move, winning, they're gonna it's gonna be 42-42. The Vols are gonna score to make it 50-42. Georgia's gonna make a last-minute drive to come back, and they're gonna have to go for 2, but they're not gonna get it because that shutdown defense
Wait, why would they have to go for 2?
to tie it up.
If they score a touchdown. You never said the Vols were going to go for 2 initially. That's where I got lost.
Shut the heck. Anyways, so now who you taking?
I think he's serious about that pick.
I guess
Georgia.
so. He didn't change his mind.
Yes, Savannah said Georgia. Everyone else taking Georgia?
yes.
Yeah.
Obviously.
My professional prediction is 52-3 Georgia.
Oh, shit.
Well, when I'm right, I will play my audio. I will do the editing on that just to show.
Ron, we
Ron,
won't
just
make
make
we won't make an official slap bet. But if Tennessee wins, you can slap the shit out of me.
I put it on the air. So all the Tennessee fans, please give me a follow because I'm the only one that supports you.
They're probably going to listen to this and think you're on crack.
Sure.
Okay. Anyways, moving on. We've got.
Number 2 game is Virginia Tech playing at Miami, who's a 13.5 point favorite. That's our first Virginia Tech pick of the year.
So is this an ACC game?
Yes.
I thought Virginia
Get
Tech
this
was
shit
ranked.
out of here.
Nope. Virginia Tech is definitely not ranked.
Is one of the Virginia squad ranked?
Virginia was.
I'm gonna take Miami. Oh,
I'll go ahead and pipe up here. I'm gonna take. Yeah, I'm also gonna take Miami because Virginia Tech just has the whole thing with Inner Sandman that I find incredibly corny, and I just don't like it. So you know,
Well, also,
I'm-
they got E.C. Denton as a fan.
Listen, we buried the hatchet. I don't hold it against them, but
Yikes, we going on fire.
Inner Sandman, just they have an affiliation. They built their brand around probably. I don't know. Probably the best song off of the 5th best Metallica album. Corny. It's corny. So
Damn.
Metallica's kind of doo-doo anyways.
Hey, but I mean, what's up with this school? I mean, the famed rap group City Girls. This school is literally named after one of the artists, isn't it? Young Miami? I mean, come on now. Miami.
Real hot girl shit.
Yeah. Anyways, Savannah, I'm sure you're thinking Miami, right?
In the words of Trick Daddy, it's all about the you. So, you know who I got?
Literally no one knows who the fuck that is.
Everyone knows who fucking Trick Daddy is. He was the biggest Miami rapper in, the early 2000s.
That might have been the first unedited F-bomb I put in this podcast, and kind of mad.
Lame.
I wasted it. Alright, who y'all two bombs got?
I'm gonna take Virginia Tech.
Yikes.
Yeah, I'm going Virginia Tech too. Slick think Miami's overrated.
Savannah, we can't. It's a copyright. Anyways, moving on.
They will deadass strike you on that because
Savannah, no.
on my last podcast I put up a brief clip of a instrumental from a Frank Ocean song, and immediately I got copyright struck.
Yeah, that gets you took off real quick. Alright, going on from the worst conference to the best conference, on to the Big 12.
We're picking another SEC game?
Shut the heck. That's actually our game of the week, or just means more. Game of the week. We got number 11 Texas at West Virginia, as Savannah is apparently going to sleep.
Come on, man.
I mean, we already talked about the origins of the Horned Frogs, but now we're going to hear about the ending of the Longhorns.
Oh.
West Virginia going to blow out the Longhorns. Horns down, baby. Yeah.
So, I like Texas's quarterback. First of all, I want to say, I think it's funny that my picks have just evolved into I kind of like that guy, or they play that song that's annoying. But anyway.
They got that dreamy college professor.
I'm gonna go with Texas. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Texas out of fellow UT solidarity.
No, they're the
Why
fake
not?
UT.
Yeah, only one UT gonna win this week, and it's Tennessee.
University of Temple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
I will agree with Ryan by saying there will be a UT that wins this week, but it will be the fake UT. Texas. Big.
Oh,
There you
for sure. Texas forever, baby.
I forget which week it was I was on here, but said the only reason I'm rolling with Texas is for one reason and one reason only. Picking that same reason again. Matthew McConaughey all the way.
Can't really argue with that.
So who you got?
She said Texas.
Oh, she did.
She said Texas forever.
Yeah, bitch.
Damn.
Yeah,
It's me.
yeah, bitch. Call me
Oh,
Matthew
okay.
McConaughey.
Well, Ryan's 0-2, right off the bat right there. Because he picked Tennessee and West Virginia. Neither one of those are going to win.
Alright, that's a lie.
West Virginia's doo-doo. And so is Tennessee.
Who's their quarterback now that Greer's gone?
Austin Kendall. He transferred from Oklahoma.
Alright, we going on to, who's this next game?
Number 14, Iowa at number 19, Michigan, who is a 3.5-point favorite. Ranked versus ranked. In a game that doesn't really amount to anything other than who is ranked
Oh, it
higher in the
amounts.
teams.
It's
So
this
Michigan,
game.
nothing for you.
Michigan's the favorite here by the betting odds. Looks like, right? Am I reading this right?
Just by a little bit.
Yeah.
By a field goal.
Well, the loser of this game could knock themselves out of playoff contention this early on, especially
Boy.
Michigan.
Michigan ain't getting in.
If they win out, they got some big names.
They're
going
not
on.
going to win out.
All right, but Wisconsin's still undefeated though.
Yeah, and Iowa would have to face them too. Which, let's just say, Iowa games are so damn boring. But I'm looking back.
Iowa is boring.
I'm looking back at the history of this matchup, and Michigan or Iowa is gonna win this game because.
Wait, was you just not praising Michigan for gonna making the playoffs? For
No, I said if they won out, but I think that Iowa is a little bit salty about the matchup that happened 117 years ago.
Yeah,
when
for
they
sure.
lost 107-0. All right, that's one of those. You put the picture of it on your wall, and you're like, "We're coming back." So they're gonna win this matchup right here.
I don't think none of these kids care about that. What happened
I
107 years ago?
don't think they do.
Okay, but like, why
When you're
doesn't-
an Iowa Hawkeye, you care
But why doesn't Cumberland win every game then?
because
they
they
took
don't
the
play
worst-
Georgia Tech every week.
They took the worst L of all time. What was the final score they gave?
Like 226
it was like-
to nothing.
Oh,
Something
okay.
stupid
I
like
knew
that.
it was a little over 200.
Dude, that
Fucking imagine that.
I would have just walked off the field. Like, honestly.
Why would you not just like forfeit that game?
Well, see, like the thing about it was Cumberland didn't even have a football team.
Yeah, Cumberland had blown out Georgia Tech's baseball team,
Cumberland,
and they were salty.
Cumberland, like they agreed to play the game with Georgia Tech like a couple years before, but then Cumberland they disbanded their football program altogether, and then when it came around for them to play Georgia Tech again,
Heisman was like, "No, we're
Yeah.
playing."
Georgia Tech threatened to sue the school if they didn't play the game. So they got like equipment managers and like athletes from other sports to play the game.
Yeah,
Like they didn't. That was the only game they played that year.
I think even day of, they were like finding people
Yeah.
to like just jump on the field.
That's
What
funny.
year was it?
I don't know, but
Long
it was,
time.
Heisman was the
I
coach.
think it was in the 1800s, late 1800s, if I believe.
Let me just
If I'm
let me
correct.
give it a quick Google.
It's worth a Google. While we're Googling, I'm taking Iowa.
I'm also going to take Iowa.
You know what? I thought that I was going to have a hot take by taking Iowa, but I guess everybody's kind of in agreement. Has Jim Harbaugh lost the yams? Has he lost his magic touch?
Jim Harbaugh's so poo-poo.
He never had the yams.
I
He
mean,
never
we
had it.
lost the
Okay.
khakis, and maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, it was 222 to nothing.
Well, I did see. I
And
don't
it was in
maybe some,
1916.
first degree shoe leather reporting, but I did see a video on Instagram of him. It was some student, graduate assistant, runs up to him, literally holding a pair of khakis in his hand, and Jim Harbaugh looks down at the khakis, looks up at the guy, and just kind of nods or shakes his head. No, I don't want them. So, take from that what you will. Maybe, it's like when a pitcher kind of shakes off his catcher. It's not good.
That's not the right shade.
Harbaugh has, like, Michigan has had such high expectations every year that Harbaugh's been there, and then they finished like third or fourth on like their side of the Big Ten every year.
Right.
Maybe that's the problem.
He's just doo-doo.
All right,
Some
so,
people.
The
He's
better
so poo-poo.
Harbaugh brothers in the NFL.
so is the Big Ten, has it gone away from like the legends, the divisions like that? Is it now the East and West, I think?
No,
Or does it
it's
still have legends in, what's the others? I don't know. I always thought-
Leaders.
Huh? Oh yeah, leaders and
Yeah.
legends.
Yeah.
I always just thought that was like the stupidest division name.
It is.
I don't get that.
The whole conference is stupid.
If it ain't
Alright.
SEC, is it really a conference?
Shut the
Not so fast.
Hold on. Do we have a, well, go ahead and give your hot take, Savannah.
Well, I was just gonna say Michigan's gonna win, and they're definitely gonna cover that spread because they're gonna win by 2 touchdowns.
Oh, Savannah,
No,
that's a
man.
hotter take than mine
Listen,
about Tennessee.
it's at Michigan. Shit's gonna be rocking. Jim Harbaugh, he's gonna be feeling himself this week finally. You
After-
guys talking lots of shit, but he's gonna come out rocking them
Well, here's the
khakis.
thing. Iowa plays a pretty similar style to Wisconsin. I mean, they don't have a running back like Jonathan Taylor, but they just line up and run the ball down your throat. And so
Was
how
it-
that worked for Michigan?
Was it Wisconsin who paid tribute?
Yeah, they wore khaki pants the next week.
What if Jim Harbaugh was like, screw it, and one day just walked out in like blue jeans?
It would be tragic. He would lose. It would be like.
He'd probably get fired on the spot.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like the ESPN coverage of this man's pants?
Like he spills something on his khakis, and it's a road trip, and he doesn't have anything else. He's like, damn it.
He has to wear like some sweatpants.
Yeah.
So I can't remember where I saw this, but it was basically a take. I think it was this week, and it was saying that basically no traditional pro style line up in I formation and run the ball 40 times a game, like Wisconsin or Iowa team will ever win the national championship from here on out. What do y'all think about that take?
The game's too advanced for that old style now, in my opinion.
Basically, that take they're what they're saying is basically your roof or your ceiling with that kind of offense is basically 10 or 11 wins and maybe a trip to the conference championship. You know what I mean?
See, I ain't gonna agree with it because a couple years ago, if a team could recruit like Arkansas did and have the size of a line like they did, that was honestly bigger than any NFL line. I mean, you get behind a team like that with linemen who can block, it don't matter who's on the other side of the ball. If your defense is good, you're winning games.
But, I mean, the thing is, where do you find linemen like that now? Because now I feel like there's a lot more emphasis on being athletic, and frankly, it's a lot easier to look for, guys who would fit into a spread offense than it is that traditional pro style offense where you have to have a size advantage and you have to have a certain play style. Whereas in the spread, I don't know, you can kind of recruit who you recruit and then plug them wherever they fit. You know what I mean?
Well, let me ask you this then, Wes. Did recruiting 260-pound offensive linemen to run the spread offense at Tennessee work? Hell no.
No, it did not. But,
all right, case closed. Go ahead. I think it would be very hard for them to win a national championship, but I think it could be done.
I think it's one of those things that if everyone is running this, if it gets to the point to where almost everyone is running the spread,
it's going to be like when Chip Kelly took over Oregon. Everybody's going to be running that same kind of offense, and then somebody's going to line up and just run the ball 40 times a game, and the defenses are not going to know what the fuck to do.
I will say that the rise of the spread and the use of those smaller athletes, I will say that I think that took away from the ability of the Georgia Techs and places like that ran the triple option that relied on those skill players. I think it took away from that a little bit because you're getting a lot more people that maybe wouldn't have fit in those pro style offenses.
Right.
It's also a little strange. You think about Georgia Tech, some of their best players to go pro
or receivers.
Yeah, that's odd. But I mean, I guess that it doesn't really. It does kind of make sense because who in that offense is going to go to the NFL? There's no need for fullbacks who can also carry the ball 20, 30 times a game in any NFL offense. You're too slow to be an NFL back, but you're also not good enough at traditional blocking to be a fullback. And hell, nobody even uses a fucking fullback anymore, so it doesn't matter anyway.
Not so fast. Atwood on our Madden league a couple of years ago drafted one.
He drafts one every year.
So, you're offending a fullback mastermind, okay?
My sincerest apologies.
The Raiders, John Gruden loves fullbacks.
It's an oddity. I mean, if you can find a team, but that's what I'm saying is that it is still fun to watch Wisconsin, and frankly, to watch LSU back in the day, say 2012 when they had such a good defense. Because it is such a different style of play. Now you're okay, we got to outscore them, and hopefully we can get one or two stops, and then we'll win the game. But with that offense, it's we'll see who messes up first. Because pretty much you're playing for yardage, and it's a completely different, strategy than what we have now. So I don't know, but I think that's kind of gone by the wayside.
Well, I also feel like it could help too, also in a spread. Because say if for example, if you put like Chip Kelly back at like when he first went to Oregon. Say if they were playing Wisconsin, if I was Wisconsin's coach, I would be like, it's smart for us to run the ball 40 times because that gives Oregon less time to have the ball.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Oregon's not going to be on the field. Their defense is. We're going to be bigger than their defense, and they're going to get tired.
And I don't know if y'all been keeping up, but Chip Kelly has been doing trash at UCLA.
He's so poo-poo.
Yeah.
And really, there's no excuse because California is.
Well, like the quarterback that they have was the number one dual threat quarterback in the country that year.
Well, and UCLA, like.
I'm not trusting that stat anymore because I mean,
Yes, that's
Garantano
true.
is.
But you can't tell me that you like. If I was a coach at UCLA, I'm gonna recruit 5 stars just off saying like you're gonna be playing in Los Angeles in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, and you're gonna find those kids from LA that like go to high school and they're just gonna be like major athletes. So you can't tell me you can't find people to run
but
your
I feel
offense
like
there.
Nowadays, it's not more of where you play; it's people are more worried about getting to the next stage. Because
No, I'm just saying like he should be able to find people that can run his offense like he had in Oregon.
Well, I think-
just like random
I think that
not superstars, but people who can develop.
I think that last year, like a big reason they struggled is I don't know if you guys watched a lot of their games, but he tried it was like he was trying to not run the offense he ran at Oregon because he I guess didn't want to be labeled as that's the only reason he was successful. So he tried. It seemed like he was trying not to run that offense as much. But
it seems like no one runs that offense really.
But I mean, that's what got you a job in the NFL. So
Like he's good at the spread, but like his offense was not really the spread as much as how fast it was.
Yeah, it was more of
It was
tire
built on
the defense out.
I mean, nobody really since Auburn that last year they went to the national championship. They did
With
it, and then
Cam, was that with
no,
Cam?
Nick Marshall.
I still think
Nick
if he was in
Marshall.
Tennessee, like if he had coached at Tennessee or any SEC school, I still think if he did his speed attack, I think that would dominate the SEC because the SEC's defenses really are built on big dudes, so they would get tired. But I don't know.
It depends because Auburn had really good success running that up tempo style, but it was also like a power run game. Like if you look at the plays they're running and the formations they're using, they're still in 2 back, and they're still running power, counter, trap, and then just throwing a read on the back side or the front side, every now and then occasionally a play action. So it was kind of an interesting, melding of that Oregon mentality of, up tempo and wearing out the defense, but also traditional SEC or even Big Ten power run game football.
Well,
So I don't know.
well, speaking of Auburn, y'all want to go on and pick this perfect segue into the last
What,
game.
what a transition.
Yeah, what number 7 Auburn travels to number 10 Florida, another team that kind of ran that modern style offense with Tim Tebow, one of the originators of that.
It feels like ours was a little different though.
Yeah, I mean it was still kind of like the start of it. But anyways, I don't know who I want to take in this. I feel like both of them are kind of pretenders.
I don't think either one of them are the real deal.
I feel like
No.
Auburn's quarterback's he's a true freshman who is he's here.
I think Bo Nix, you give him a couple years, he might turn out to be an NFL quarterback or something. But right now, I think it's pretty obvious that he was not ready to just come in and start day one in the SEC, especially not in the SEC West.
And he's definitely getting carried by that defense. Don't get me wrong. If I could be a starting quarterback in the SEC, I would feel like a beast even if I was getting carried by a defense. But for this team to be taken serious, I think he's got to step up a lot more than he is. And I think Auburn wins this game, but it's more based on the fact that I think they are not as bad as Florida. I don't think either of them should be top 10 then. But
Yeah.
I'll take Auburn.
Go ahead, Sven.
Sorry. I think I'm going to have to go Florida with this one since it's being played in the Swamp. I know Auburn's a favorite even though they're the visiting team, but I think that regardless of neither of them being like top 10 good, I think that Florida's the better team.
Well, Savannah, that's technically what Trump meant when he said drain the swamp. So therefore, Florida's campus is not that scary anymore. The swamp is drained. I'm just kidding.
We almost made it a whole podcast without talking about politics.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. I just haven't seen a whole lot of Auburn. I haven't watched any of their games really. But I'm on the same page as y'all. I mean, I think like both these teams are good. Like, don't get me wrong, but they're not. I don't think really either of them, like y'all said, are like top 10 material. But I don't know. My gut just tells me Florida. So you know what they say? Always trust your gut. So that's what I'm gonna go with. I'll say Florida by 6 points.
Okay.
You want to go first?
Yeah, which one of y'all wants to go first?
I'm going to take Auburn.
Okay.
I mean,
Exciting pick and
Florida's playing. I mean, they're still playing the quarterback that started 2 games since his freshman year of high school.
R.I.P. Felipe.
He hasn't played a good team yet since, and Auburn's defense is one of the best in the country. So I'd expect Auburn to light him up some.
You're making me want to change my pick. Damn it.
I'd say that Auburn gets at least 1 defensive touchdown, and that's the difference in the game.
Robbie, look, I don't know who you are or who you think you are with this like reasoned, sober analysis, but you need to chill the fuck out.
I'm just trying not to be biased this year.
It's hard. I mean, like every game that Florida plays, I want to pick against them because
because you know why? Because fuck Florida.
Literally.
Yikes.
But, you know, this is the type of even-handed, neutral, both sides coverage that you get with PodBois.
Yeah, honestly, we just tell you how it is. We don't... No bias at all.
Y'all, listen, facts don't care about your feelings. But also, fuck Florida.
Yes.
Okay. Brandon, who you got?
I'm going to have to go... I'm honestly going to have to pick Auburn just because even though their offense hasn't really been proven, I feel like they're going to be a top contender right up there with Bama and LSU for who's going to be that top team in the West.
Okay.
Because their defense is proven, and I mean their offense, like in the Oregon game, can be streaky and very, very out of tune as well as in tune. But I feel like they'll pull it together and beat Florida at least by 10 points.
So basically, Auburn's offense, a guitar. Sometimes it's out of tune, sometimes it's in tune.
Depends on who's playing it.
So, to recap this week, the pro style offense canceled. The Tennessee Volunteers going to be storming Neyland. I'm seeing other canceled stuff. I don't know. The swamp's drained. It's going to be a good weekend. We're getting this out a little bit early for y'all.
I've got a great idea for an op-ed that I'm going to pitch to all the national newspapers it's going to be titled, Is the pro offense problematic?
Yeah, I mean, technically, to run a pro offense, shouldn't these players be getting paid?
Yeah.
They're amateurs.
In California, they are.
Yeah, some of them might be here soon, so.
Maybe we should discuss that next week.
Yeah, or just have like a standalone episode or something if we can.
But imagine the recruiting tools of the Florida schools or of the California schools.
Yeah.
Just saying, like, hey, like, you come, you can get paid. If all the other states don't follow,
Well, like, I've also seen where the NCAA has, before it got passed, they threatened to basically just pretend that the state of California didn't exist.
Oof.
So like USC, UCLA, all those schools would no longer be in the NCAA. Or if they did, they wouldn't be able to, like, they wouldn't be able to compete for a conference championship. No, you can't compete to go to the playoff or anything like that. No bowl game.
that is not tea, sis.
Yeah. So, well, the only thing, I saw a clip from LeBron's show, or like the barber shop show or whatever. Anyway, he had on the governor of California, and he was talking about that, and he was, like, the governor of California was trying to make this argument that basically, because there would be all of these benefits for the players who, you know, are in California, that it would persuade other state legislatures to start passing similar bills. But I don't see why that would be the case, because it's not like there's like a college football player lobby, or, you know, who's going to like influence those state legislatures to pass that kind of stuff. Like, what constituency is there out there who is just demanding that we pay college athletes? You know what I mean?
Especially, did you see where Tim Tebow was being a clown and was like, no, I don't think they deserve to be paid.
I mean, you got to think about it. That's true. He's one of the most influential college athletes ever.
Yeah, but dude, he's a rich white kid that, like, had money.
Yeah, like, Tim Tebow's case is, like, I don't know. Like, I personally don't really have a problem with, like, I don't necessarily think that they should get paid, like, just for playing college football, but, like, all these stores and, like, you know, they sell jerseys with their names on the back and stuff like that. They should get some money from that.
Yeah, and I think wasn't that the main point of that California legislation, is like they don't get a direct stipend, I don't think, but they can get endorsements and such.
Yeah, I think it's
I feel
something
like that's
like
also
that.
a little messed up too, because, like, you might think about, like, for example, Clemson, Trevor Lawrence, he's going to be everywhere, but those people, those 5 down linemen protecting him, are not going to get any praise. And they're not going to have their name on the back of a jersey, so they're not going to get no money. And they're just as important, if not more important, than Trevor Lawrence.
Learn to play quarterback. That's all I got to say. Know the ball.
I mean, and I wouldn't really have a problem with, like, you just say, okay, we're going to pay every single player this amount of money. And it's not like some stupid amount of money, but, like, okay, every single player gets $5,000-$10,000 or something.
The only problem with that is, you're in schools like Alabama that doesn't hurt, but then you're going to get those schools, like, let's say the group of 5 schools, that, like,
they
literally
can't afford that shit.
fund everything based on just their football teams.
I mean, it's a tough, like, you know, I think it's wrong to say that, like, there would be no drawbacks or no hard aspects of it to implement. But I don't know.
I've seen both sides.
I mean, I'm not against them paying the players, but I think it's probably something that they should probably stay away from in college, because
don't get me wrong, like, and if you're a running back and you're smart and you're listening, don't get mad. It's just one of those positions like athletes, but you're gonna get a bunch of, like, running backs, wide receivers, heck, any position that, like, basically their whole life have just been pushed through football, like coming off the streets or something like that, and had no money. And, like, odds are they're not going to make it to the NFL. Well, I don't know why we couldn't allow them to make, like, some money based on this skill then. But I guess the counter argument is, like, you're going to school, like, but
I don't know.
In some instances, like, we've all seen it in school, like, athletes don't really get, and they get pushed along, like, even if they aren't the smartest or anything like that. So, I don't know. It's a weird system.
It's like a wise man once said, you know, we ain't come here to play class.
Cardell the GOAT.
This is unrelated. Can I switch my pick so that I'm picking Auburn?
Yes.
Yeah, I just screwed
just
Savannah.
put me down.
Okay. I already know that come Sunday morning, I'm going to think of myself as an idiot for picking Tennessee, but I will stick with that pick. I think that's all I got. It's getting late here, but this will be an early podcast for everybody listening, earlier than Fridays. So, but all right. Does anyone else have anything to say?
Nope.
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, follow us on Twitter at PodBoys_podcast. As always, rate, review, and smash that like button. Subscribe.
It's like a YouTube channel, right?
Give us a good review because some clown just said that we were trash and gave us 1 star. But I don't know who said it, but whoever said that we were a
If we
group
ever
of...
see you, it's on.
Whoever
We're
said that
swinging.
we was a group of boys and 1 girl, and that you could tell that we were having fun, we definitely are. So thank you for that.
Have fun with your mom.
Shut the... My mom listens to this podcast. Anyways. Alright.
Oh, what talking about your mom?
Good
What's
night and
about
good
his
morning. Pod Boys.
Out.
Out.
Yes, be it.